Hi everyone, welcome along to coverage of the BRSCC MX-5 meeting here at Zolder. But before racing gets underway here, let's have a look at the highlights of our previous rounds on Anglesey. Anglesey was the venue for rounds 3, 4 and 5 of the season, our first treble header of the year. And the two stars of Anglesey were the men who dominated at rounds 1 and 2, which were of course at Snetterton. Tom Roche, the championship leader, and Oliver Allwood. Roche won race 1 from Allwood with James Harris in third place and Clive Powles in fourth. Powles was to continue a climb up through the order as the meeting went on. Roche won race 2 again from Allwood. Powles in third this time from 44 Paul Bishop. Things got frenetic between Allwood and Roche. Roche non-finished race number 3. That meant that Ollie Allwood took the third race win. Clive Powles moving up into second position for the third and final race therefore at Anglesey. James Harris in third place and Simon Baldwin in fourth. The retirement of Roche leaves him down the table before drop scores kick in. Ollie Allwood, the championship leader from James Harris. Simon Baldwin third, then Clive Powles in fourth from Paul Bishop and Brian Trott. Simon Wood seventh. Tom Roche down in eighth ahead of Paul Bateman and Martin Tolley. So here's how they line up. Tom Roche on pole from Ollie Allwood, then Stuart Simmons and Paul Bateman. Third row, Clive Powles and Simon Goddard. Simon Baldwin and Paul Maguire next up. Row 5, Richard Collins and Lewis Field. Adam Craig and Paul Tucker, followed by Simon Woods and Danny Green, Ivan Leary and Matt Pickford, row 8. Row 9, Paul Austin and Russ Lindsay, then Simon Orange and Anthony Hutchins. Bryn Griffiths completes the grid in 21st. So our first overseas BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship race about to get underway. Pole position, as you can see, is the right hand of shot. That's Tom Roche in green, who gets away well. And the reason that pole position is there is that we've got a left-hander for the first corner, and it's Roche that leads. Battle on for second. It was a very good start from the white car of Paul Bateman from fourth place. He was up to second. It'll be interesting to see. Well, Bateman, I think, is on the outside line there of Ollie Allwood in red. Allwood's got the inside line here. Bateman having a very good go. Simon Goddard is running in fourth place. Fifth position is Paul Maguire. And Paul involved in a big battle there. So this first lap sort out. Let's see how it all works out. But it's Tom Roche here who had a very good start from pole position. That is exactly what earning pole position in qualifying is all about. And he gets away from Bateman and Allwood, scrapping very hard over second place, but already the top four starting to break clear of fifth place, which is Simon Baldwin. A little bit wide there by Stuart Simmons in the 88 car. Good to see Stuart back. First outing for him this year. And Roche is getting away from second, third and fourth. And they in turn, as I've already said, starting to break away from a substantial amount of cars, all dicing at the moment over that fifth place. So Roche, with the disappointment of a non-finish in race 3 on Anglesey, looking to make his mark on this race. There goes the 48 car. Simon Baldwin going through, still chased by Clive Powles. Stuart Simmons goes through as well. Then the black and green car of Lewis Field, car number 61, and they're coming up to the conclusion of the opening lap here into the chicane, which brings them back onto the main straight. And we'll pick up the view from turn 1 on the circuit, the outside of turn 1 at Erst corner, and it's Tom Roche that we see going across the line in the lead. Ollie Allwood in second, the championship leader Ollie Allwood. Then it's Paul Bateman in third place. Clive Powles is busy trying to close down on Simon Baldwin, but Stuart Simmons having a good dice there with Paul Maguire, and then Lewis Field getting involved in the mix as well. The red and yellow car of Paul Tucker trying to challenge, and right the way down this entry, some very, very good battles indeed. And some of the regulars, as we would say, from Group B, normal watchers or regular viewers of this championship will know that the entries on the mainland in the UK are very much about so big that we have to split the field down into two classes, Class A and Class B, or Groups A and Group B. A being the top half in qualifying, but the grid here able to cope with all of the entries as Richard Collins made a little mistake on braking there into the chicane. Gathers it all up, doesn't lose too much ground. There's Simon Goddard going out of shot in fourth. So this is the scrap for fifth position. Simon Baldwin and Clive Powles. Not only is this about fifth position in the race, but these two guys jointly tied on third position in the points, in the gross points, coming into this race, 462 points apiece. So they're dicing for that honour, but also because James Harris, who's second in the table, isn't here. So effectively, Baldwin and Powles are dicing to take over second position in the total points scored. But we're looking at Richard Collins there in car number 5, continuing to allow the back end just to drift out a little bit. We look again down towards turn 10. The left and right, which brings us back onto the main straight. The race leader is still Tom Roche. Look at the lead that Roche has got here. This is setting out a benchmark. Roche is down in 8th position in the championship, but remember, this is before the application of drop scores. Once those come into play, Roche will be right up at the top again. But, of course, he doesn't want any more of those drop scores, so he's serious about regaining the championship, and he will very much want to win, and win by as big a margin as possible. As we look at Simon Orange, the driver from Cheshire, possibly the furthest travelled driver here in the race. I'm just trying to think who would have travelled the furthest and work out whether he's the most northerly driver that we have here. And is it going to be a northerly driver that's travelled the furthest, or a westerly driver? Thinking of Tom Roche coming from Cardiff as well. Adam Craig comes from Stockton-on-Tees, which is of course up near Croft Circuit, so maybe it's Adam Craig who's travelled the furthest to race here at Zolder. There in car number 61 is Lewis Field. Lewis qualifying in 10th place. Powles and Goddard still very much hard at it. Then Paul Maguire just going out of shot, and as you can see, some really good dicing going on all the way down the field. Simon Woods there in 101, and it's Adam Craig, the man we were talking about from Stockton-on-Tees, the white car, chasing hard. So hats off to all the drivers that have made the effort to come and race here on this very special circuit, which used to of course host the Belgian Grand Prix. And back to the scrap for fourth place. Immediately ahead of them, Simon Goddard, dropping back a moment a little bit from the top three. Goddard kind of on his own. This is the first time we've seen Goddard this season, but a regular front runner in our coverage previously as Tom Roche comes across the line. So Roche coming down towards us, just about to dip out of shot. Ollie Allwood second in the red car. Then it's Paul Bateman. Simon Goddard in 46. Simon Baldwin next in the blue car with the red stripes. Then Clive Powles. Stuart Simmons is next up at the moment from Lewis Field, and then Paul Maguire with Richard Collins in 10th place. But we're over towards the turns 3 and 4 once again, and still focused on this battle between Baldwin and Powell, and who is going to go second on the total points scored after this race. Who's going to wind up in front of this? Look at the top 4 splitting out now. Ollie Allwood getting away a little bit from Paul Bateman at the moment, so Allwood will try and chase down Tom Roche. Roche still out front. There goes Simon Baldwin, still up ahead of Clive Powles. Heading on to the far side of the circuit. This camera position, incidentally, from turn 7, which is around about 2/3 of the way around this 2.5 mile lap. And still this battle for 5th, probably the closest on circuit. And it's the Reigate-based driver, Simon Baldwin, who's still there ahead of the Warwickshire-based man, Clive Powles, who's trying to put the pressure on, and indeed is keeping his car very firmly in the mirrors and filling up the mirrors of the 48 car. I think they're closing down on Simon Goddard as well. So Goddard here might be losing a little bit of ground, but it's the Kent MX-5 car, Chris Dawkins' concern, of course, that's out front. Tom Roche already turning into turn 10. and he'll come down the main straight again very shortly. Here we go. Here is the race leader. It's interesting to see the start line marshal. They're just jinking the yellow flag, maybe expecting some yellows to be going out, but better to be ready than not, I suppose. Roche going out of shot, so it's Roche still. Ollie Allwood second there, the red car with the blue stripe on the bonnet. Paul Bateman next up, then Simon Goddard, Simon Baldwin, Clive Powell's in close proximity. Stuart Simmons next up, red and white as we look at it. Lewis Field in black and green, then Paul Maguire in ninth. The purple car, Richard Collins 10th, then it's Paul Tucker, Danny Green, Simon Woods, followed by the white car of Adam Craig, the blue machine there of Bryn Griffiths, then Paul Austin in the stripy car, Simon Orange in the fluorescent car, Ivan Leary, and then Matt Pickford there in 19th place in car number 16, the 44-year-old from Buckhurst Hill. So picking up on Simon Woods comes from Sutton in Surrey. We've got a very good geographic mix of drivers, as we've said in this championship before, from all over the UK, and also a very varied age range of drivers as well. We've got a challenge on here. Paul Maguire looking at the inside of the black and green car there to try and go through. It was Lewis Field that was under pressure there. I'm not sure whether that manoeuvre came off. Bryn Griffiths has made good progress. The 56 car started at the back of the grid, didn't set a time in qualifying, so it was all going to be uphill for Bryn. As you can see, up ahead now of Ivan Leary in car number 25. There, though, is Simon Woods, still in 13th position. Woods having qualified in 13th, so very much maintaining the status quo from his qualifying position. As on the inside there goes 67, Simon Orange ahead of Matt Pickford. And we'll have the conclusion of our first race from Zolder for you after the break. Welcome back to Zolder for round 6 of the 2016 BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. Paul Bateman in the white 42 running in 3rd place, then Simon Goddard in 46, Simon Baldwin 48, Clive Powell's in green, the number 18 car running in 6th place. A little dip back there to Matt Pickford, who was running 19th when we were looking at the slightly lower order going through the camera at the end of part 1 from here, the first part of the race. Ross Lindsay in the mix there as well. And wherever you are on the grid, people to dice with. You just saw a flash of green going out of shot. That was the race leader, Tom Roche, 8th in the championship after that non-finish at Anglesey in race 3. And Simon Baldwin here trying to close down on Simon Goddard. Baldwin has broken free of Clive Powell's, and that means that Baldwin could well be on for 2nd position in the championship table here after this race. You just saw Powell's going through shot there in green at the back of shot. 68 and 20 engaged. 20 is Paul Maguire. 68 is Paul Tucker. Tom Roche goes through shot again. The further he gets ahead, the less television time Tom Roche is going to get. The man from Cardiff, who I think if we were to apply drop scores probably would be championship leader. Pressure there from Simon Baldwin on Simon Goddard, who locks up going into turn number 1, and a great pass there. That was pressure, wasn't it, from the 4th place driver, and up now onto the, well, not quite onto the podium, Simon Baldwin onto 4th place. We've still got Paul Bateman in 3rd place. Simon Baldwin now 4th. 5th position is Simon Goddard, so Goddard won't be overly happy with that. Perhaps race rusty, I don't know. First race this year. The rest of the guys have had 5 races so far this year. Here's a gaggle of cars getting stuck in, and still Paul Maguire in 20 up ahead of the 68 car Paul Tucker. Tucker looks to be the man on the mission here. Cars coming out of turn 7. The blue car making great progress in this race is Bryn Griffiths. And Bryn, who comes from Horsham, well, we'll catch up with Bryn. There he is at the top of the shot there. We'll catch up with Bryn's statistics, I think, a little bit later on in the race. But Ollie Allwood still in second. There's Ollie. Red car, blue bonnet. Third position, Paul Bateman. Simon Baldwin looking handy here and maybe about to challenge for a podium place. Clive Powles goes through shots, and following Clive it's Stuart Simmons. And then this is the battle for 8th position. Lewis Field piling the pressure on Richard Collins. Those two clear at the moment. Danny Green is in the mix in treble 1. He's got up in between these two boys, so Paul Maguire gets a wheel on the dirt, loses out. Simon Woods goes past him. Adam Craig is going to go past in the white 29 car as well. Here's the scrap for third place. Ollie Allwood goes through in second and up into third place. Really good move there by Simon Baldwin, the Reigate driver, goes through. He's got a wheel on the podium now. So to recap, it's Tom Roche out front, Ollie Allwood second. Here's Ollie Allwood, centre of shot. Roche is away and down the road at the moment. Simon Baldwin third. Then it's Paul Bateman, followed by Simon Goddard. And here again is Richard Collins. Richard Collins inside the top 10 at present, but trying to chase Stuart Simmons. Simmons is 7th, Collins is 8th. Lewis Field in the black and green car is in 9th place and challenging for that 8th position. Simon Woods coming under pressure from Paul Maguire, who in turn has got Adam Craig right behind him as well. Some terrific scraps going right the way down the field, and we stay with the battle for 8th place at the moment. And Lewis Field is gunning for that. The LEF backed car piling the pressure on, coming and we go back just a little bit. Matt Pickford there with Simon Orange hard on his heels as well. Ollie Allwood ticks off another lap, still trying to chase Tom Roche. Tom Roche, incidentally, best lap of the race so far, the only driver to break the 2-minute barrier, a 1:59.277. And Roche in qualifying, 1:58.98. And again, the only driver to break the 2-minute barrier in qualifying. Ollie Allwood did a 2 minutes 0.044. So just gives you an indication of Roche's performance and so far dominance of this meeting. There was a little wobble there, wasn't there, for Richard Collins, who's lost a bit of momentum, and this is looking very good now for Lewis Field on the outside line and takes the position. Great move by Lewis Field, aided a little bit by that wobble from Richard Collins for sure. Simon Goddard still giving chase. Goddard in 5th place. Paul Bateman immediately ahead of him. Here is Ollie Allwood though. Ollie goes out of shot, 2nd place. Simon Baldwin is in 3rd. Great drive from Baldwin, up from 7th on the grid. So really good progress from him during this race, and he's going to be delighted to get up onto the podium, but will want to go further in race number 2 and to see whether he can match the race leader Tom Roche here. Fight going on. There is Bryn Griffiths going through up ahead of Paul Austin, then Simon Orange in the fluorescent number 67. Paul Maguire at the back of that gaggle of cars. But here is Tom Roche, who will come across the line and pick up the signal that it's the last lap. The 20-minute time very nearly elapsed, and for the first time in a while we get the lead 2 cars in shot. Roche has already now disappeared out of shot. Ollie Allwood still in 2nd place, Simon Baldwin 3rd. Paul Bateman still looking handy in 3rd position and may well still challenge for this last podium spot, but they go into Erst, which is turn 1, and then they'll head around into the Sterrewacht corner, which is turn 2 here, and then out onto the back straight, which is where they'll emerge eventually. Baldwin not close enough by any stretch of the imagination to Ollie Allwood. But having said that, Simon Baldwin's best lap of the race on lap 4 is actually faster than Ollie Allwood. So on his best lap, he is actually closing down on the man that leads the championship. And Allwood, the championship leader, again about to disappear out of shot, on his way to maintaining a 100% podium record in the championship this year. Simon Baldwin is next up. Simon's worst result, 9th position race 1 at Anglesey, and he got better and better at Anglesey. 6th place in race 2, 4th position in race 3, and here aiming to get back onto the podium. It was a double podium for him at Snetterton in our first event of the year. But here's Tom Roche, the Blendini Motorsport man, comes from Cardiff and is just driving away from everybody here and goes through turn 9 and heads down towards turn 10, and turn 10 a combination turn left and then right back onto the main straight, and he'll take the win. Good fighting down the order there. Danny Green at the moment just ahead of Paul Maguire. It'll be interesting to see whether they stay that way or not. Simon Woods in orange immediately ahead of them. Paul Tucker you can just see in the red and yellow car in the distance, but Tom Roche picks up his 5th win of the year, and every race he's finished so far this year he has won. Across the line in 2nd goes Ollie Allwood. 3rd place, and holding on to 3rd place, is Simon Baldwin. Paul Bateman in 42 records his best finish, 4th place for him, great result. And following him it's Simon Goddard, Clive Powell, Stuart Simmons across the line there in the Club 100 car, taking 7th place. Lewis Field maintains station ahead of Richard Collins. Paul Tucker though closing up on those guys with Simon Woods, then Danny Green up across the line. Paul Maguire is next, the blue and orange car, then Adam Craig in white immediately behind Paul Maguire. Keep your eyes peeled for Bryn Griffiths, who's come through from 15th from 21st on the grid. Simon Orange immediately behind him. Then it was Paul Austin in the red and white stripy car. Following them, Ivan Leary in black and yellow. Russ Lindsay is next from Anthony Hutchins. I think Matt Pickford's still going as well. There is Matt Pickford, who comes into shot and will finish in 21st position, but rightly acknowledging the fans and marshals here after a splendid drive. It is Tom Roche. Roche the winner, fastest lap 2. Ollie Allwood 2nd from Simon Baldwin and Paul Bateman. Simon Goddard in 5th from Clive Powell and Stuart Simmons. Lewis Field ahead of Richard Collins and Paul Tucker. Then Simon Woods, Danny Green. Paul Maguire in 13th from Adam Craig and Bryn Griffiths. Simon Orange in 16th from Paul Austin. Ivan Leary from Russ Lindsay, Anthony Hutchins and Matt Pickford again completing our finishers.
Got a pretty good start, bogged down a little, but it was okay. And car felt great, and tried not to make any mistakes.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. Yesterday was really tough. 7th qualifying was, getting a podium was going to be a big ask, so I'm really pleased with that. And it's, to be fair, it's a big thanks to Kent MX-5. They're the guys that sorted the car out last minute, and they sorted it. Magic wand.
I don't know how it looked, but I've never been that high up the grid, and I've never finished this high in an A race before. I've always been midfield, and I just can only thank AB Motorsport, Ali Bray, for turning my engine round a bit and turning the car round, getting it handling, and I've just pedalled it. Not bad for a 60-year-old.
Cars onto circuit then for our second 20-minute race here at Zolder. Pole position goes to Tom Roche from Ollie Allwood, then Simon Baldwin and Paul Bateman on row 2. Simon Goddard is 5th on the grid with Clive Powell, then Stuart Simmons and Lewis Field. Richard Collins and Paul Tucker next from Simon Woods and Danny Green. Paul Maguire 13th, then Adam Craig and Bryn Griffiths. Simon Orange lines up next. Row 9, Paul Austin and Ivan Leary. Russ Lindsay is next with Anthony Hutchins and Matt Pickford completing the grid. Green flag waved at the back of the field, ready for the start of race 2. Tom Roche in green on the pole position, right of shot. To his outside, Ollie Allwood. And they're off. Good start by Roche. Cracking start there by Paul Bateman from 4th on the grid. The white car, right of shot, goes up into 2nd. Bateman 2nd. Contact between Messrs Baldwin and Goddard. Goddard is behind Baldwin at the moment. They've got Clive Powell in between them. Stuart Simmons is next, then Lewis Field. Looks like it's been a very good start by Paul Maguire, who I think is just behind Lewis Field and chasing through. We'll get confirmation when they come through for the end of the first lap. Goddard, though, dropping back, passed there by Adam Craig in white, passed in fact by very nearly everybody. And that's Matt Pickford, who was 21st on the grid, about to have a look on the inside line of Simon Goddard. I wonder if that was that clash that he had with Simon Baldwin just off the line. Always crowded, of course, when you go down into turn 1. They're already at turn 5 on lap number 1. No major dramas at this point on the circuit. Danny Green going head-to-head there with Paul Tucker, and Tucker's got his nose in front at the moment. The race leaders up into turn 7. Still Paul Bateman running in second place, Ollie Allwood in third. Fourth position is Simon Baldwin. Equidistant, those lead cars at the minute, so no real battles going on there. Down the inside again, Lewis Field there in 61. And Simon Woods looking to make his way up the inside line. Look at the scuffs on the side of the number 18 car of Clive Powers. If you needed any proof, other than obviously watching the very close racing, if you needed proof that it does get physical, just take a look at the scuffs on the side of Clive Powers' car, the tyre scuffs, which show just how close the racing has been here. There's a hand aloft. I think that is Simon Goddard, who looks like he gained a bit of ground, but he's now dropping back again with his hand aloft, and that possibly is going to be a visit to the pits. Here's a challenge for second place. Oliver Allwood looks down the inside. It's Paul Bateman hanging on to second at the moment. They go out of shot. We'll have to see how that is resolved when they come around on the next lap. But there's 101, Simon Woods. Richard Collins is being chased by Adam Craig. Lewis Field in the black and green car with the orange wheels chasing them. And Bateman has lost out. Paul Bateman's down to fourth. So Simon Baldwin's ahead of him in third place, the blue and red car. And up into second has gone Ollie Allwood. So Tom Roche on lap 2, 20-minute race, remember, here. And it equates to, very neatly, to 10 laps around Zolder. This circuit originally built back in 1963, 53 years old this year, then 10 Belgian GPs held here, the last of which was 1984 when Michele Alboreto won the Grand Prix. Sebastian Bourdais still holds the lap record here, and it's a great venue, terrific facilities, as you can imagine, being a former Grand Prix venue. So Simon Woods still ahead there of Richard Collins. Collins in turn ahead of Adam Craig. So some very good scraps going on all the way through this field, all for some really decent points that are available this weekend. Remember the point scoring system in this championship. The outright race win as 68 Paul Tucker looks down the inside line there and has managed to go through. Very good move there by Tucker down the inside of Lewis Field. Going back to the points scenario, 100 points for a win, an extra 2 points for fastest lap. But for each position that we drop, there are 2 points less. The second place gets 98 points, and so on and so forth, down 96 for third and so on. So you could get second position in the race, plus the fastest lap would equal the same as a win in terms of championship points. And Tom Roche, who was 8th in the championship, picks up 100 points for winning race number 1. But of course Ollie Allwood and Simon Baldwin and indeed Clive Powers picked up healthy points. So I don't think we're going to see Tom Roche necessarily at this stage on total points in the championship move too much closer to Messrs Allwood and Baldwin. We'll see James Harris drop down because he was second coming into the meeting, but as I mentioned in part 1 of the programme, he's not racing here. Look at that, Roche really getting away. Allwood second, and now Bateman coming under big pressure from Clive Powers. So Bateman there in 42, rides the curbs. These cars really do hammer over those. They seem to deal with it very well indeed. Roche is coming up in towards turn 7. There is Allwood still in second place. Simon Baldwin in third place, and the scrap now is on for 4th position, and Paul Bateman wants to try and hold on to that. Bateman a good 4th place in race number 1, best result of the season for him. It was his 3rd top 10 of the year. He took 10th position in race number 1 at Anglesey as well. As a little bit of a queue developing here behind Simon Baldwin, so a 3-car train scrapping it out for those places. We dip down the order and catch up with Russ Lindsay in car number 17, chasing Paul Austin. And here's the view from turn number 1, the Erst corner. And as you can see, Simon Goddard coming through shot, very nearly a lap down. So still soldiering on, Simon Goddard. He knows that if he keeps going, he might be able to salvage some points from this race. Tom Roche just goes out of shot. He is the race leader. So Roche chasing, still got this scrap on. A little bit of space now between Baldwin and Bateman. And Paul Bateman's really coming under pressure here from Clive Powles. Clive Powles in the Auto Hill car. He's going round the outside, coming up the inside line. There was a very wide outside line there from Bateman. Potentially could have left the door open, but it was a nice sweep on that corner which maintained the advantage. There's Simon Orange running in car number 67, chasing the black and yellow car of Ivan Leary. And back to our front runners. Tom Roche again doing what he did in race number 1, getting away as a result with no other cars in close proximity. Our cameras following the cars that are maybe running a little bit closer. Here's Roche coming through, closing up on Simon Goddard. Look at the lead that Roche has got. We're still in the first half of the race. Roche out front, Allwood second, then Simon Baldwin, followed by Paul Bateman, and Clive Powles closes up on the way into the corner, loses a little bit of ground through it. Looks like Bateman is perhaps slightly better through those corners. This is coming out of turn 7, coming down in towards turn 8. The Jochen Rindt corner is next up as they come through Boulderberg-Haas corner, and then they'll make their way down back towards the home straight here, where the race leader is Simon Goddard. Actually not lost that much ground over the last lap. I'm wondering whether there was something rubbing on the car which has maybe disappeared now. We'll have to find out after the race. But Tom Roche out front. Here's the second man, Ollie Allwood in second, Simon Baldwin third. Here comes Clive Powles in green, and Powles has a look down the inside. This is where Bateman lost position, I think, earlier on. He had second position off the start. Very good starter is Paul Bateman, but loses the place. Stuart Simmons now will try to close down on Bateman. So Paul Bateman loses out there. Look at the gap between Simmons and then Paul Maguire in 20, who's running pretty much on his own in 7th place. Behind him, we've got the number 5 of Richard Collins going through. Lewis Field giving chase there. Paul Tucker as well. Bryn Griffiths in blue is giving chase as well. And this race settling down very well, coming up towards the halfway stage. And Tom Roche looking good here to bag another win. Remember, this is the 7th race of the year. Roche has won every race that he's finished so far. He's only non-finished one of those, race 3 at Anglesey. Lewis Field busy chasing Simon Woods, the Sutton man at the moment, holding sway. There's the 7th place car, Paul Maguire. Then Richard Collins in 8th place, and this the scrap for 9th. So these boys all battling hard to try and get to or remain in the top 10 of this race and pick up the points that go with that. Right at the back of this quartet, or quintet in actual fact, we've got Adam Craig trying to get in on the mix, and leading the group at the moment, 101 Simon Woods. Down the inside goes Bryn Griffiths, Lewis Field in 61 to the outside, and we'll rejoin them after the break. Welcome back to Zolder. You're looking at the guys racing for second and third place. Third place at the moment, Simon Baldwin, car number 48, looking to add another podium to his collection for the year. Tom Roche leads though in green. Simon Goddard is the back marker. Goddard running in 21st place at the moment. There were no retirements in race number 1. Testament to the driving standards on what is a brand new circuit for most of these drivers. Allwood still second, but it does look as if Simon Baldwin is starting to close in. So we've got a battle on for second place. Allwood being chased down by Baldwin. I mentioned earlier that in race number 1, Simon Baldwin's lap times, his best lap, was better than Ollie Allwood. So form might dictate, therefore, that he should be up there challenging for that second place. Back down the order, Simon Woods and Lewis Field engaged in battle. Remember, these guys trying to get up in towards the top 10. Paul Austin's in the mix there as well. Simon Orange in 67. Russ Lindsay in 17. Ivan Leary in 25 at the back of that quartet. Matt Pickford not losing touch as well. Anthony Hutchins is there too. Good front-on shot there of Ivan Leary. And we go and we look at Leary going through. And this is coming out of the Jochen Rindt turn 9 down towards turn 10, the Jackie Ickx turn, which will get them across the line to complete the lap, which these guys have already done. These are the pair again battling for second place. Let's look in the distance and see what we can see. Ollie Allwood's just broken clear at the moment once again of Simon Baldwin. Tom Roche is still out front. The second car, remember, is the back marker, Simon Goddard, after problems on lap number 1. And as you can see, Clive Powell's going for third place but locks up going into the Klein chicane, so that doesn't work for him. This has been a good race for Paul Bateman, had a great start, but I'm saying good race, not a great race for him because he's just gone backwards after the start, but nonetheless still holding on to a reasonable position, Paul Bateman. If he'd have finished 6th in race number 1, it still would have been his best finish of the year, but as it is, he's been passed by the Club 100 car of Stuart Simmons, who's up into 5th place. There is Ollie Allwood, second position, running pretty much on his own at the moment. Simon Baldwin third with the attention of Clive Powers, and those two of course were tied together at the start of race number 1. Paul Bateman not finished though, still in with a shout of taking the battle to the number 88 car. Bateman runs a little bit wide there through turn 9 down into turn 10, passing plenty of passing positions here at Zolder, as you can see, which is why the BRSCC like to come here. But here is a pass. Simon Orange in 67 goes through on the inside line of Matt Pickford in the number 16 car, so Orange makes up a position and he's trying to reclimb his way through the field. Orange finished 16th in race number 1, hoping for something a little bit better here. Ross Lindsay up ahead of Ivan Leary. Ivan, the 51-year-old from Leighton Buzzard. Up ahead of them, Paul Austin, the London-based driver, is going through. But meanwhile, we head back to the battle between Stuart Simmons and 42, Paul Bateman. Paul running in 6th place. It looks at the moment as if Simon Baldwin is just stretching the advantage that he has over Clive Powers. The race leader's just gone through shot, so too is the back marker Simon Goddard. Ollie Allwood still there in 2nd position. Riding the curbs there is Simon Baldwin. Look at the lead, there's Tom Roche, just goes out of shot. Simon Goddard still running in 21st place, but a lap down, and Clive Powers has got back onto the case now of the 48 machine of Simon Baldwin. So Baldwin under pressure from Powers once again. Powers, of course, wants to come away from this meeting higher up in the points and wants to beat this man. They're very, very evenly matched as we've seen this meeting, and Powers is all over the back of him. Paul Bateman's coming back as well at Stuart Simmons. Is he going to have a look at the inside line? Comes offline, thinks about it, changes his mind, and Simmons, though, will be feeling the pressure in the 88 car for sure. they're coming up to tick off another lap, getting towards the closing stages of this, our second race at Zolder. And across the line, here's Tom Roche, the race leader. Simon Goddard still has pace. It's such a shame that Goddard has lost that lap. Goddard a lap down. The red and blue car is in second position. Then the predominantly blue with red stripes car of Simon Baldwin running third, but for how long? Because Clive Powers is having a very good look down into turn one, but it was a faster line into the corner there by Simon Baldwin, who holds on to position. Baldwin in third place in this one. Ollie Allwood still ahead of him in second, and Allwood looking pretty comfortable at the moment in second position. Baldwin looks like it's going to be a follow-up third place. Tom Roche, of course, the man that's been doing the most winning over the course of the season, is away and down the road. There is Allwood, Baldwin, Powles in green, Simmons still followed by Bateman, Paul Maguire still running in seventh place. There is Roche going through. Now, of course, the one thing here is that, you know, even if Ollie Allwood had a big turn of speed, he's still got to get past the back marker, Simon Goddard, and he's not making really any impression on Goddard at the moment, the back marker. So Roche has got a very good cushion, a time cushion and a back marker between himself and the second place car. And that is going to give him a good cushion towards the end of the race. It's a good lead still. The gap in race number one between Roche and Allwood was some 10 seconds. It's not quite as big in this race, so I think some of the drivers have maybe found something. Go back down the order. Russ Lindsay about to be challenged here by Simon Orange, who's getting a good run. Orange looking up the inside as they come out of the Klein chicane, head towards turn 6 here. Front of this battle is Paul Austin. Down the inside, though, goes the 67 car, so Simon Orange goes up ahead of Russ Lindsay. Ivan Leary is at the back of this group of 4 cars that are really providing some very good racing indeed. And these guys scrapping over 14th position in the race. Danny Green is immediately ahead of them, and to the outside line now goes Austin. Up the inside line goes Simon Orange, who grabs the place coming through the Jochen Rindt corner. Is he going to be able to hang on to it? Because the number 30 car has got the inside line going down into turn 10. I don't think we're going to see how that pans out, because on the last lap, it's Tom Roche still there. And now up into second. What's happened to Ollie Allwood? Allwood's down to third. Clive Powles is all over the back of him, and up into second position now has come Simon Baldwin. The 48 car, Simon Baldwin, up into second position. Ollie Allwood is down to third. Here is Tom Roche, though, as you can see, well clear. That gap, well, I was saying the gap in race one, first to second, was 10 seconds. And that looks fairly similar, to be fair, maybe a tad shorter than the winning margin was in race number one. The flag isn't out yet, though, and Tom Roche has still got to get the 125 car back and across the line. But Roche, in the Blendini Motorsport car, has looked superb all weekend. He's got the fastest lap of the race. Again, the only driver to break into the 2 minutes dead in this race. He was under 2 minutes in race one. He hasn't done that in this one, but he is the only driver to have set a 2 minutes dead. 2 minutes dead point 386. And look at this scrap here. Absolutely brilliant dice with Danny Green. Simon Orange and the boys having a good old scrap. Paul Austin locks up there. Russ Lindsay still coming under pressure from Ivan Leary, who's in the mix as well. But 2 out of 2 here at Zolder for Tom Roche, who takes the flag. Second position goes to Simon Baldwin. Ollie Allwood is going to take third. There is Baldwin across the line. Allwood is next. Clive Powles in green. Simon Goddard moves across and allows those guys through. Paul Bateman had a very, very close run, a late run on Stuart Simmons, but couldn't quite get through. So Simmons in 5th, Bateman 6th. Here is Paul Maguire, who continued that lonely run in 7th place. Great start from him, up from 13th on the grid into 7th. Paul Tucker is next from Lewisfield. Yes, Lewisfield, just ahead of Richard Collins. Bryn Griffiths, remember, started race one right at the back. He was next. then Simon Woods in orange. Danny Green is next up. And behind Danny, we'll see this battle that we've been following in the second half of this race. And we'll see who's going to come through. We wait with bated breath. Who is it going to be? They're battling their way at the moment down into the Jackie Hicks corner. And here it is. It's Simon Orange who heads that quartet of cars. So Simon Orange up ahead of Paul Austin. And then Russ Lindsay, followed by Matt Pickford. So Matt Pickford came up to join them and in fact got ahead of Ivan Leary in the closing stages. But Tom Roche is the winner, 2 out of 2. Fastest lap as well. 2 lots of 102 points for Tom Roche, which will help his championship. Roche the winner and fastest lap then. Simon Baldwin second from Ollie Allwood and Clive Powell. Stuart Simmons fifth. And then Paul Bateman and Paul Maguire from Paul Tucker. Lewis Field and Richard Collins next from Bryn Griffiths and Simon Woods. Danny Green 13th from Simon Orange, Paul Austin. Russ Lindsay 16th from Matt Pickford, Ivan Leary. Anthony Hutchins 19th from Simon Goddard. And a non-finish sadly for Adam Craig.
Yeah, another great race. Yeah, got away at the start and got my head down really and just kept driving around. No, it's a great track here. I love it. Really nice. So yeah, it's a pleasure to drive it around.
It was a great race, really fantastic, really enjoyed it, and obviously quite lucky to get second. I think Ollie made a bit of an error. Equally, I made an error trying to get past him and didn't pull it off quite. So yeah, all ended very well on that one. Yeah, good. It was really struggled. Obviously, qualifying 7th was just a bit of a slow start, but both race results, the 3rd and the 2nd, was fantastic. So yeah, pretty happy with that.
Ran out of talent really. I have no idea what happened. Just snatched a brake. Just went through the kitty litter, come out the other side. It's my fault. It's one of the way it goes, I suppose. I was a bit annoyed. I'd fended off Simon before already, so he'd come up, and I'd actually found a few tents, so I managed to pull away. So I was really happy with that, and I thought, I've got this in the bag, job done. No, I don't know. I'm just, really annoyed, really annoyed.
So a double win means that Tom Roche is top of the standings again from Ollie Allwood. Then it's Simon Baldwin and Clive Powell. James Harris down to 5th from Michael Fisk. Paul Bishop 7th from Brian Trott. Paul Bateman and Paul Tucker. Well, whilst the drivers enjoy their podium celebrations at Zolder, we say thanks very much for watching and please join us next time with the double header at Alton Park.